How's it going, everybody? So, I don't know if this is something that's going to be considered a hot take, but I've been seeing a pattern developing over the past couple of years. So, hear me out. We talked in one of my videos a while back about a Dicynodont that was named Bulbasaurus. So definitely not, but also absolutely referencing the Pokemon, Bulbasaur. And besides that, we just recently had a new species of Australian pterosaur being named after an alien species from the Avatar movies. There's a species of trilobite that is named Han Solo, and even a species of a belosaurid that is literally just given the name Thanos. So here's my theory. Paleontologists are just kind of nerds. I mean, come on, this one is literally called Dracorex hogwartsia. But understand, this is not at all an insult. I actually love this, because I have a confession for all of you. This may be hard to believe, but I too am a nerd. In fact, I've at times thought about what I would do on YouTube if I wasn't making paleontology videos. And to be honest, I think I would probably be making videos about nerdy stuff that I like. Some of my favorite content creators that are outside of the paleontology and animal science genre, especially the ones who make tabletop RPG and D&D videos. Pointy Hat, Ginny D, Dungeon Dudes, Bob the World Builder, there's a bunch of them. And tabletop gaming is a hobby that I really enjoy. And I've always kind of wanted to do something like that, but I've never been able to figure out a way to bridge the gap from talking about dinosaurs to talking about Dungeons and Dragons. And on the other side of it, I feel like it's kind of challenging to fit dinosaurs into a game where one of the staples is basically flying dinosaurs that have magical powers as well as being able to breathe fire and stuff. So even in the official D&D books, dinosaurs were kind of an afterthought. That is, until the team over at Paleo Games came along and quite literally wrote the book on including dinosaurs in your D&D game. I have a rule. I don't make sponsored content unless it's actually a product that I actually like, which is why I'm thrilled to talk about Dr. Dhrolin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs. This is more than just a lore book and monster manual that includes dinosaurs into D&D. It's heavily science-based and written by actual paleontologists like Dr. Nathan Barling, as well as beautifully illustrated by the world-famous paleo artist Dr. Mark Whitten, someone whose work has been featured countless times on this channel as well as many others here on YouTube. This book is a whopping 304 pages of dinosaur content, including 56 dynamic Mesozoic creatures and a further 55 optional magical variants. You can make your game as scientifically driven or as fantastic as you want, and still include some of your favorite Mesozoic creatures in your campaign. I cannot stress this enough. This is not just an ad. This is something that I'm really excited for.
Ooh, what's that?
Haven't you been listening? It's a game supplement for D&D that offered to sponsor us.
Oh, I want to play.
Actually, that's not a half bad idea. Alright, sure. I'll be the game master, and I'll put together a little adventure for you.
Does this mean I get to play whatever race I want?
Well, yeah, within reason. Actually, one of the cool additions to this book is that there are 6 different dinosaur-themed player races that you can choose from. Like the Manihorn, based on ceratopsids, the Pluven, which are based on dromaeosaurs, or the Lemucan.
I want to play a human.
You want to play a human?
Yeah, why is that surprising? That's like our whole shtick, isn't it? We want to be human again.
Alright, fine. But first, do your job, Sponsorship Monkey. We actually get a discount code for people who want to buy the book.
Visit paleogames.com and enter the promo code PA10 to get 10% off any purchase on their web store. This is a limited time offer, so check the video description to see if it's still active. Besides just the book, which is available in both hardcover and PDF, they have battle maps for different locations that are inspired by real-world Mesozoic locations and fossil sites, a custom form-fillable PDF character sheet, and 150 digital tokens to play online with or print out. If you want any dinosaurs in your game, or want to get some dinosaur enthusiasts into D&D, this is the go-to source. Again, that's paleogames.com, and enter the promo code PA10 to get 10% off any purchase. There, how was that?
Not bad. But we also have to mention the new Kickstarter. So I hinted about this video over the past few weeks on social media, and when I talked about this book, I got a bunch of positive reactions. But I also got some comments from people that were less than happy with the creators of D&D, and that they wish Paleo Games would make a version of this that is compatible with other TTRPGs. I totally hear you, and more importantly, so has Paleo Games, and they have delivered by launching a Kickstarter for the second run of this book. Only instead of being for D&D 5th edition, this will be all the same dinosaurs, locations, races, and subclasses, only added the Pathfinder 2nd edition. So now, both of the most popular fantasy tabletop RPGs will have the option of including more accurate and balanced dinosaurs in the world. The Kickstarter is live right now. Obviously, my discount code won't work for that, but if you want to support this project getting released on another game, I will include the link in the description.
Alright, can we play now?
Well, we'll work on that. But for now, let's talk about some of the cool stuff this book offers. So I don't know if you've seen it, but the Dino Facts actually covered this book a little while ago. And this is going to kind of be a companion piece to that. I'll also leave a link to his video in the description, since I'm going to try to focus on some of the stuff that he didn't talk about. But one thing that I appreciate so much, that I felt like it kind of at least needed an honorable mention, is the way that they depicted Spinosaurus. As we discussed on my last video here, Spinosaurs have kind of had something of an identity crisis in paleontology. Well, the team at Paleo Games didn't let that stop them from including this very popular dinosaur in their book. And they even took all the different variations of Spinosaurus into consideration by including the optional rule dramatic reinterpretation, which allows you to change the stats of Spinosaurus based on previous interpretations. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds on this one. Like I said, Dino Facts already covered it really well, but I at least had to bring it up. Right off the bat on page 21, they start addressing the main concern that one might have when including dinosaurs in their game. They have a few different awesome ideas that you can draw on. There's the ancient plateau, a concept that builds on the idea of an environment that was already present in your world, but concealed from prying eyes. And it doesn't have to be a plateau, it can be an island or whatever else. Just something that has allowed relic species to persist long after their extinction in the rest of the world. I'm thinking this could be really good for an exploration and adventure type of story, with the feel of the 1912 original science fiction novel The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. If that doesn't work for you, there's always the hollow world idea, which works very similarly to the ancient plateau, but more of a hollow earth from the modern day Monsterverse movies twist to it. I feel like this could be fun because you could create situations where there are holes opening up, connecting the surface to the hollow world beneath, loosing dinosaurs in different places throughout the world, and making for some fun encounters. Another idea is to basically do Jurassic Park with the Necromancer Island idea, where these animals were extinct, but then brought back. Not through genetic manipulation in frogs, but by necromancer magic. There are several different ways that you could make a Necromancer Island. Is it a single fortress surrounded by dense jungle filled with dinosaurs? Or a series of enclosures housing different species? Are those enclosures bound by magical means? Or simply high walls? You could have an island dotted with wizard towers, each housing a wizard that specializes in one species of dinosaur. Or one grand necromancer. Just a big ol' orcish John Hammond commanding them all. Or as another idea altogether, you could go more classic dinosaur story and consider hurling your players back in time. In a way, this one is kind of the easiest to implement into an already existing campaign, because this would be placing the player characters wholly in the environments and ecosystems described in the book, making it easier to use everything in a cohesive manner. You can feel free to cherry pick different things from these different story ideas, or ignore them altogether if you have an idea that you think would work better. But I definitely appreciate the inclusion of these different ideas, if nothing else, just to get the creative wheels turning. Now, before we get into some of the creatures that have been featured in this book, I want to point out an interesting system to help you come up with encounter tables for your game. And this is something that'll work if you want to use the locations listed in the book, if you want to create your own homebrewed environments, or if you want to drop these creatures into an already published setting in your D&D game by adding these environment icons to each of the Mesozoic beasts in this book. This makes it easier for someone who might not be as familiar with some of these creatures to figure out how to populate your world with them. There are 11 different environmental icons. There's swamp or wetland, ocean or deep water, badlands or desert, jungle or rainforest, river or lake, plains or scrubland, mountains or volcanoes, tundra or polar forest, coastal or estuary, island and archipelago, and finally, temperate or conifer forest. So if you want to say include concavinator in your campaign, but you don't know what types of environments you should drop it into to make thematic sense, just look at the icons here and you'll see that these 5 biomes are its preferred habitat. This is just one of the ways that the team behind this book have gone above and beyond to include scientific accuracy in this D&D book. Now, this book has some dinosaurs separated into different regions based on 4 real-life formations from around the world, and then 32 more that are listed in alphabetical order after that. These different locations have been fully fleshed out, and even have information about how the flora can affect aspects of the game. And like I said before, Paleo Games has even made downloadable battle maps that you can use to play these regions. DinoFacts already talked about the Spinosaurus, but that's actually one of the species that are listed under a specific location, that being the Baharia Formation. And as many of you may know, Spinosaurus was not the only massive carnivorous theropod in North Africa 95 million years ago. It shared the land with Carcharodontosaurus, a carnivore that was close to the same size as Spino, and that meant they had to include it here. This dinosaur's name means shark-toothed lizard, and it's named that because of this animal's heavily serrated blade-like teeth. And they invented an entire condition to capture this effect, one that could very quickly end a player character. This condition goes into effect anytime it hits something with its ripping bite. In addition to doing a decent chunk of damage, it rips a large piece of flesh away from the target, whose body is now bleeding heavily. What? It's literally what the book says. And oof. When you read the effects of the torn condition, it's pretty clear that this thing is going to be a major problem for players who encounter it. And that's because this dinosaur is actually designed to battle giants, just like the real animal. While Spinosaurus is thought to have been partly, if not mostly, a fish eater, Carcharodontosaurus was hunting giant sauropods and animals like that. It's thought that that's actually the reason why these two giant predators were able to live alongside each other. Essentially, they really weren't competing with each other all that much because even though they were both two large predators, they were hunting different things. And this speciality is shown in another ability in its arsenal called Titanic Fighter, giving Carcharodontosaurus advantage against any creature in the large size class or bigger. Another monster that you could encounter if you wanted to have a more nautical adventure in the world of dinosaurs is Mosasaurus. Like the Carcharodontosaurus, this one is a beast and an apex predator in its environment. And I feel like they captured that really well in its stat block and abilities. This book also mentions how the mosasaur prefers to hunt close to the surface, meaning where it's most likely to be encountered by players. And it's also been given an ability called Storm Rider. Because Mosasaurus is most commonly depicted living in tropical seas, storms would be a common thing that this creature would have to face. So this ability gives it resistance to cold, lightning, and thunder damage. And this is even expanded upon even further with the Mosasaur's optional magic rules. With these, the Mosa gains the ability to summon storms, and even cause a tidal wave. I love the fact that they include some of these more fantastical elements on creatures like this. Mosasaurus is a well-known sea monster, and I feel like it should have always been included in D&D. But they've also added some more obscure things. They added Tanystropheus, just in case you wanted to get really weird with your campaign. As a matter of fact, I'm counting 8 different Triassic animals in this book. Tanystropheus, Charovipteryx, Arizonosaurus, Eurythrosuchus. They really went all out with the weird stuff that you never knew you really needed in your D&D game. So besides having 4 different locations with dedicated creatures to choose from, if you wanted to, you have everything you need to make a game in a homebrewed Triassic period setting. Besides all of the creatures, locations, and magical variants, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is some of the different custom player races based on Mesozoic creatures. And one of my favorites is the Ankylir. I think I'm saying that right. Ankylir? Right? Yes? I'm pretty sure that you can look at this right away and tell what animal this is based on. This is a race of heavily built and armored herbivorous humanoids, with a body covered in bony osteoderms, and a thick tail club. I mean, come on guys. These are Ankylosaurus people. That's cool. And like everything else here, Dr. Barling and his team have done a great job reflecting that description in these guys' abilities. Basically giving you a +3 to your armor right off the bat, or just a straight 17 as an unarmored AC. And if you don't know what that means, just know it's really good but still actually balanced. And of course, they had to give it a club tail ability for smashing, even if you're not carrying a weapon. This book even gives you a little bit of information about the culture and lore around these different races. In the case of the Ankylir, a great deal of their lore surrounds metalworking. And they even give you this absolutely badass NPC, the Forge Master, to put in your game. These are said to be the highest ranking members of Ankylir society. The same great strength that allows them to run multiple forges at once also gives them a great deal of power and influence. This makes them the leaders among their people, and oftentimes getting into conflicts over economic and political gain. I'm assuming this is normally between different Forge Masters. I don't see many humans or elves bucking up to an army with this guy as their leader. Honestly, I could go on and on about this book. Like I said, I've been wanting to branch out into different types of content like this, and this really just gave me the perfect opportunity. I've barely even scratched the surface of all the cool stuff that this book offers. I didn't even get into the subclasses, backgrounds, and feats. You can make somebody with a paleontologist background in D&D now. This book was made for me. I'm seriously over here trying to convince my DM to let me play an Ankylir. Dude, Christian, seriously, please. Dr. Dhrolin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs adds things to D&D that I have wanted to see for years. Both Dinofax and I are promoting this because we generally love this product, and I feel like you get a pretty good idea of what you're getting between these 2 videos. So go check his out as well. This book is a great way to bridge the gap between 2 of my favorite things. It's a great way to get dinosaur enthusiasts into D&D, and it's a great way to get D&D players into learning about dinosaurs. If you want to pick up a copy, visit paleogames.com and enter the promo code PA10 to get 10% off any purchase in their web store. Or, if you would like to get a copy of this book for Pathfinder 2nd Edition instead of D&D 5e, check out the link in the description to the Kickstarter going on right now.
Okay, Steve, I'm done making my character. I want to play.
Excellent, because I'm definitely ready to get into this. Have a good one, everybody.